Okay, so this is going to be like Ubisoft, the story mode I'm doing here at the moment, and I decided to do some grinding off screen. And so right now I'm starting off with Sanji, and so basically I'm getting like 30,000 experience points during the fight with Shanks here, and this is actually one of the final bosses. It's not the final fight and it was off the story, but it's the fight before the final fight. And so I'm here gaining some levels with Sanji, changing the stats up a little bit. I did reset their stats and decided to give them different stats. And we'll get into that as soon, after the whole training session is done with. So anyway, um, when I tried starting with Sanji in the seventh part, there's a mission coming up soon, right before. Well, actually, it's after you fight with Crocodile. This is going to be the Sky. Well, yeah, it's going to be before Sky Kia world. And so there's going to be a mission with Sanji, and you got to fight a character again, like you fought previously back in the Bronze, which is called Creed. Well, I kept losing this Sanji here, and so I decided to grind him up a little bit. And what's weird about it is, I'm not totally sure exactly why they made Luffy's story harder later. Like, what I mean by that is, it's supposed to be like the easiest difficulty mode so far. And I understand that it gets harder as you go on, but for it to get this difficult before the final world is baffling to me. And we're going to see here later, while I'm sitting there grinding, leveling up the characters, giving them different stats and everything. Basically, there's a level 45 in Usopp's story with Mihawk, and there's a level 100 fight with Shanks. And we're going to get into that towards the end of the video here, like how that went. And by the end of like Luffy's story in my first attempt before doing this walkthrough, it has it like where uh, I ended Luffy's story at level 25. And here comes like Usopp and Luffy's stats. Or I got Luffy maxed out, and I got Usopp at like level 45. So this is like where the Mihawk fight and the Shanks fight's gonna come in pretty soon, actually. And so while I'm sitting here grinding, when I found out in like Usopp's story where you have to be at level 40, well, I ended Luffy's story off at level 25. And seeing Luffy's story is kind of like the only place you can really grind for levels and stats. But since Luffy's story is like the easiest one it's supposed to be, and it gives you levels of experience the more you level up, which that's understandable. But when you go on to Usopp's story later, which we're going to get into that later on when we get there. But anyways, here in Usopp's story, the fight with Mihawk in the very first match in his story is at level 40. That Luffy's at level 25. And it's like very difficult. And there's no real place to really grind up to like level 40. So what I did was I decided to go in, complete Usopp's story, have a good place to grind for levels and all that. So I got Usopp at level 45 and Luffy at level 100. So we're going to see what a level 40 fight is in Usopp's story and what a level 100 fight would be in his story as well. And so while I'm doing this off screen, it's like surprisingly difficult. And I don't mean like, oh, I was like under leveled or anything, or I'm not like so over leveled or supposed to be. No, it doesn't matter if you're at the same level as your opponent or about the same, yeah, about the same as your opponent or like lower or higher than your opponent. It's difficult. And it's looking like Luffy's story before I make part 7, which we're going to see later in the next video, where I was filming on screen, ready to make the next video, and I was like I think it was like level 18. Wait, no, sorry. I was thinking like level 20 with Luffy. Actually, I was like level 15 with Sanji, or like level 16 with him, and then Don Creed was like at level 18. Okay, so I was trying to basically find him like 3 levels. Well, I almost said 5 there, sorry. Yeah, I was basically like 3 levels behind on Don's Creek fight, and I thought I could beat the Sanji and just move on. Okay, that went horribly wrong. Okay, so, and then I decided to try to fight with Luffy, which was like at level 21. That also went horribly wrong. So eventually I got so frustrated where I decided to say screw it, do Usopp's story, Brian Luffy and Sanji and everybody else that I needed the rest of his story. And so usually to unlock Usopp's story, you gotta complete the other story modes in order to unlock his story. So what I did was I decided to use a cheat code, which this is only usable if you're playing it on PC. Well, with the cheat code I used, it has it like where you're able to unlock the rest of the story modes before they're actually supposed to be unlocked. And since Usopp's story mode is technically not an actual story mode, because there's not really a story involved other than just you like collecting allies, costumes, and different modes than you could in Luffy's story. And so, while I'm doing this, it has it like where, yeah, like Usopp's story is just the better mode, like where you can play with all the characters that you unlock from previous stories. Now, it might be best to me do the other story modes before I do Usopp's story. I mean, that's basically how it's supposed to work. But while I'm doing Luffy's stories before I even complete it, which I have completed it twice off screen before, and this is during practice attempts, for some reason I'm having difficulty problems this time around. I don't know if it's because I gave the characters different stats this time around or what. I'm not entirely sure. But for some reason I kept having difficulty problems and beating Don Creed and the rest of the other opponents later. And so basically I'm here in like Usopp's story, grinding off screen, doing all these like different stats and everything, and so yeah, it's like the game's difficulty is ridiculous. Like even if you're playing on the easiest story mode there is so far, which is supposed to be easy, you think you won't have no issues with it. But if I'm losing at level 15 and Don Green's at level 18, you think that wouldn't be much of an issue. But I kept losing to him just like I did with Chopper and Ace. And that was like a 20-minute fight. So, yeah, I'm not totally sure exactly what this game's difficulty is. I'm basically having to use like infinite HP and like a 2-hit KO cheat just to even get through Usopp's story here and even gain any level up in experience. Now, here, during the fight with Mihawk and Usopp, I'm actually doing the fight without the cheat. Before, while I was grinding, I was using the cheat. Now I'm turning the cheat off and finding it like normally. So this is like one of level 45 Usopp is with a level 40 Mihawk. And so you're going to see here, I lost the first fight. It didn't go so well. I'm going to do it again. And it goes like a little bit better than the first one, and somewhat, until something unexpected happens by the end of it. Alright. So, yeah, so after this fight with Usopp is done, then we're going to do a level 100 fight with Luffy versus Shanks. So right now, mostly just trying to get through the fight without dying. I got Usopp at like 5 HP. I got his max defense and max items, and you see I'm not doing hardly any damage here, and this is like level 45 Usopp versus like a level 40 Mihawk, and I'm like 5 levels ahead. Um, so yeah, this is yeah, and you see here Mihawk kills me. Um, but I do it again. Third time goes a little bit better, actually. So yeah, the game's difficulty later looks and seems crazy, but in Luffy's story, as we're going to see in part 7, and might go a little bit better since I grind up like a couple levels. Since I got almost everybody like right around like level 25 or like level 30, sort of. And so, yeah, I haven't done the other story modes. We'll get into that later after I complete Luffy story. And all right, we see here we beat a Mihawk this time, so now we're going to move on to the Luffy fight with Shanks. And what sucks about it is that I'm really hoping to beat this game like legitimately without the cheats. I'm still planning on doing that, like beat the game legitimately without the cheats enabled. But if I ever get to a situation like with Chopper and Trace, like where I can't do it, even with the grinding that I did on screen, like I see here in this video, well, I might have to enable the cheats to make the game go quicker. Because I don't want to spend hours on end grinding on screen either in like Usopp's or even Luffy's stories for that matter. And it's like, yeah, I just don't see why this game's difficulty is even supposed to be, remind you. Is that right now I'm at the easiest difficulty mode right now in the story, in the adventure mode anyways. And as you see here, I'm at like level 100 Luffy, almost dying to Shanks here. And I got Luffy at like 10 HP. I got him like a 15 defense, max attack, max support, max special attack, and like max items. And you see, I'm barely doing any damage with Shanks here, which is like a level 100 Luffy versus a level 100 Shanks. And Luffy's stats is almost max. And so, yeah, and you see here, I barely win this, like with 1 HP left to spare. So, yeah, let's just say this is like something that we're going to get into like later when I actually do Usopp's story. So yeah, um, this is going to be the end of this video. Sorry I went on a bit of a rant, tangent, kind of commentary video. I just thought I'd at least explain some of the issues I had while in the making of the part 7 and doing the grinding on screen. So, anyways, I just thought I'd at least explain what's going on. Explain like what the difficulty is going to be like later. Explain what some of the issues I had while making this video. So, yeah, I still plan on continuing this walkthrough, but just in case if you see me like start using cheats, or if you see me start getting frustrated later, I just thought I'd at least let you know now. Instead of just waiting like later and explain it. So, yeah, I just thought this would be like kind of like side video, at least explaining everything that you need to know moving forward. Alright, so anyways, this is going to do it for this video. I'll start planning making part 7 pretty soon coming up. At the time I'm recording this, I should have it uploaded at least by tomorrow, by the time this comes up. So, yeah, just thought let y'all know what's going on and what we're going to do moving forward. So anyways, this is going to be the end of this, and see y'all in part 7 of One Piece Great Adventure. Bye.